The chosen ones, listen closely. There is a power inside of you so immense, so dangerous to the forces working against you that they desperately hope you never discover it. This is not ordinary strength. It is not intelligence that can be acquired through effort alone. It is not the kind of power that comes from talent, wealth, or connections. This is supernatural power. The force that makes the impossible possible, that silences storms, that crumbles mountains, that shifts the atmosphere around you. And this power is not reserved for a select few. It is not just for pastors, prophets, or leaders. The Spirit of God is for every believer willing to activate it. Through faith, through obedience, through deep intimacy with God, you unlock a force so unstoppable that the enemy trembles at the thought of you awakening to it. Their greatest fear is that you will recognize what you carry and step fully into your divine authority. Before we move forward, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to every single one of you who have supported this mission through your prayers, your encouragement, and your generosity. Your contributions are not just acts of giving, they are declarations of faith. They are a sign that you believe in this message and are planting a seed that God will multiply in ways beyond your imagination. But today we are not just talking about power, we are learning how to activate it. By the time you finish this message, you will not just be informed, you will be transformed. Are you ready? You have knocked on doors that never opened. You have prayed for opportunities that never came. You have believed, worked, and pushed forward, yet the door remains shut. Some of you are standing in front of doors that feel permanently locked. The relationship did not work out. The business failed. The doctor said there is no cure. The rejection letter arrived again. But hear me. God is your doorkeeper. People cannot block what God has destined for you. No boss, no critic, no obstacle, no enemy can override the plans of God. When He says yes, no one can say no. And if a door has closed, it is not the end of the story, it is part of the plan. Sometimes God closes a door not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes He says no because He has something greater. And sometimes God does not need to open the door, He walks through it. Get ready, because doors that have been closed for years are about to open. Suddenly, your health will improve. Suddenly, the right opportunity will appear. Suddenly, your career will advance. Suddenly, your finances will shift. The enemy thought he had you trapped, but he underestimated the God you serve. When God says it is time, nothing can stand in His way. Some of you are standing on the edge of the biggest breakthrough of your life, and you do not even see it yet, but it is already in motion. God is about to open doors that no man can shut. Here's what you need to do right now. Get your fire back. Shake off the doubt. Shake off the fear. If you have allowed rejection to convince you that you are not enough, stop believing the lie. If you have let failure make you think it is over, realize that it is just the beginning. Stand up, fix your posture, because God is about to walk through the door of your life, and when He does, everything you thought was lost will be restored. If you believe this message is for you, declare it now. Type "It's my time" in the comments below. Speak it. Own it. Because your doors are opening. Your breakthrough is already on its way. And if you believe this message is for you, take a moment and declare it. Type 777 in the comments right now. That number is not just a number. It is a divine signature, a representation of completion, of perfection, of spiritual awakening. It is heaven's way of reminding you that God is aligning everything in divine order in your life. If you know deep in your spirit that this is your moment of activation, do not hesitate. Declare it now, and if you are truly chosen, you will stay until the end, because your soul already knows that this message is for you. If you are not ready, you may not make it through to the last word. But for those who are desperate for more, for those who are hungry for breakthrough, everything is about to change. Right now, let's begin, beloved chosen ones. Let's activate it right away. My dear friend, there are moments in life when doors seem permanently shut. You have prayed, you have believed, you have done everything in your power, yet nothing changes. The opportunity you longed for did not come. The promotion slipped through your hands, the relationship fell apart, the healing you desperately needed did not arrive. Every sign tells you it is over, that the door has been closed for good. But hear this truth. Closed doors cannot stop God. People may reject you. Circumstances may seem impossible. The world may say you have reached your limit, that there is no way forward. But God is not limited by human barriers. He does not depend on permission, approval, or circumstances. When He speaks, things shift. When He moves, obstacles crumble. When He declares a door to open, no force in heaven, on earth, or in hell can keep it shut. God is the doorkeeper. That means no boss, no family member, no critic, no sickness, no opposition can decide your future. The enemy may have tried to lock you out of your destiny, but he does not have the final say. Rejection is not the final answer. Delay is not the end of the road. What looks like a dead end is nothing more than a setup for God to show His power in your life. Some doors are closed for a reason. Sometimes God shuts a door not to hold you back, but to redirect you towards something greater. What you saw as a disappointment may actually be a divine detour. If you had walked through that door, you might have settled for something far less than what God has planned. When God closes a door, trust that He is working all things together for your good. And then there are doors that seem permanently sealed. No matter how hard you push, they will not budge. You have done everything you know to do, yet you feel stuck. But listen carefully. God does not need an open door to bless you. He does not need an invitation to enter. When Jesus appeared to His disciples after His resurrection, the door was locked, yet He stepped right into the room. He did not knock. He did not wait for someone to let Him in. He walked through the door. Because when God says it is time, nothing can stand in His way. Right now, you may feel like you are behind a locked door, waiting for something to change, but know this, your moment is coming. The doors that have been shut for years are about to open. The opportunities that seemed impossible are about to appear. The healing, the breakthrough, the favor that you thought was out of reach is on its way. God is about to move in ways you never imagined. So do not be discouraged. Do not give in to fear. Do not let doubt convince you that it is over. The enemy wants you to believe that you are stuck, that nothing will change, that the closed door is permanent, but it is not. God is the one who holds the key. When He decides to open the door, nothing and no one can stop Him. Stay in faith. Keep trusting. Your door is about to open, and when it does, it will be greater than anything you could have planned for yourself. Beloved chosen ones, the truth is there are few things more discouraging than a door that won't open, no matter how hard you try. You have prayed, worked, sacrificed, believed, and yet the door remains shut. You applied for the job, but they hired someone else. You gave everything to a relationship, but it still fell apart. You pursued a dream with all your heart, but it never came to pass. In those moments, doubt begins to creep in. The enemy whispers that it is over, that you are not good enough, that God has forgotten you. But listen closely. Just because the door is closed does not mean you have been abandoned. Just because something did not work out does not mean God's plan for your life has failed. God never promised that every door would open the first time you knocked. He never said there would be no obstacles, no resistance, no delays. But he did promise that if you trust him, he will direct your steps. He will make a way where there is no way. He will open doors that no man can shut. And if he has not opened a door yet, it is because he's preparing something better. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that a closed door means the end of the journey. They let disappointment turn into discouragement and discouragement into defeat. They stop believing, stop trying, stop expecting. But the truth is, God allows closed doors not to break you, but to build you. Every delay, every setback, every no is refining you, shaping you, preparing you for what is coming. Think about the young man who applied to 40 medical schools and received nothing but rejection letters. He was ready to give up, convinced that his dream was over. But what if God was closing those doors to guide him to the right opportunity? What if the rejections were not a denial, but a redirection? You see, God's plan for your life is bigger than what you can see. What looks like failure today might be the very thing that leads you to success tomorrow. You have to change the way you see closed doors. Instead of letting them break your faith, let them strengthen it. Instead of letting them make you bitter, let them make you better. When a door closes, do not assume it is the enemy trying to hold you back. Sometimes it is God protecting you from something that was never meant for you. That job you did not get, maybe it would have drained the life out of you. That person who walked away, maybe God was removing someone who was never supposed to go where he is taking you. That dream that did not come to pass, maybe God has something far greater in store. But what about the doors that seem permanently shut? The ones that have been closed for years. You have prayed, you have believed, yet nothing has changed. The enemy would love for you to think that those doors will never open, that it is too late, that your time has passed. But let me remind you, God does not need permission to move in your life. He does not need the circumstances to align or people to approve. When he says it is time, no obstacle can stand in his way. Jesus' disciples experienced this firsthand. After his crucifixion, they were terrified, locked in a room, convinced that everything was over. They had bolted the door, sealing themselves inside. But then, suddenly, Jesus appeared. He did not knock. He did not ask to be let in. He walked through the locked door. Because closed doors cannot stop God. That is what he wants you to understand today. The closed doors in your life are not a problem for him. The delays you have faced are not an obstacle to his power. You may not see a way, but that does not mean there is no way. God is not limited by what is blocking you. He does not need to wait for a door to open. He can walk right through it. So do not be discouraged when doors do not open immediately. Do not let frustration make you quit. Keep believing, keep knocking, keep expecting, because the right door, the one God has prepared for you, will open at the right time. And when it does, you will realize that every closed door was not a setback, but a setup. That every disappointment was actually positioning you for something greater. That every disappointment was actually positioning you for something greater. That every moment of waiting was building you into the person you need to be for what God is about to do. Do not give up. Do not lose faith. The doors that seem closed today are not the final chapter of your story. Your time is coming. Your breakthrough is on the way. And when it happens, you will look back and see that God's plan was working all along. Stay strong, stay faithful, and get ready. Because when God opens the door, it will be greater than anything you ever imagined. My dear friend, there is one truth you must hold on to no matter what life throws at you. God is your doorkeeper. He is the one who controls what opens and what closes. No person, no circumstance, no opposition, no force in hell can override his plan for your life. When God opens a door, no one can shut it. When he closes a door, no one can force it open. That means your future is not in the hands of your boss, your critics, your past mistakes, or even the challenges you are facing right now. Your future is in the hands of Almighty God, and he alone has the final say. Too many people allow closed doors to make them feel like their destiny is slipping away. They believe that rejection from man is the end of the story, but rejection from people does not mean rejection from God. Some doors are shut for your protection. Some doors are shut to redirect you to something greater. And some doors may appear locked, but when God says it is time, he will not just open the door, he will walk right through it. The enemy wants you to believe that others have power over your future. He wants you to think that because someone said no, because you were denied an opportunity, because you faced opposition, you have missed out on what God has for you. But the truth is, no one can stop what God has ordained for your life. Your enemies do not have the final word, God does. That means the unfair boss who overlooked you, the person who tried to discredit you, the ones who told you that you were not qualified, they do not determine your destiny. God does. When God gets ready to move, he does not need approval from people. He does not need circumstances to align. He does not need a committee to vote in your favor. When he says yes, it does not matter how many people say no. When he declares you blessed, no one can curse you. When he anoints you, no one can stop his power from flowing through your life. The only thing the enemy can do is try to convince you to give up before your breakthrough arrives. Think about the disciples after Jesus was crucified. They had locked themselves in a room, afraid for their lives. They deadbolted the door, sealing themselves inside, trying to protect themselves from those who wanted to harm them. But suddenly, Jesus appeared in the room. He did not knock. He did not ask to be let in. He did not wait for someone to open the door. He walked through it. Because closed doors cannot stop God. That is what he wants you to understand. No matter how long a door has been shut in your life, no matter how impossible your situation looks, it is not a barrier to God. It does not matter if people have tried to keep you out. If others have slammed doors in your face, if circumstances have told you no, when God is ready to take you to the next level, he does not need permission. He does not need the approval of those around you. He is not hoping someone will make a way for you. He is the way. Some of you have been waiting for years, thinking that a locked door means God has forgotten you. You see no movement, no progress, no change, and the enemy whispers that it is too late. But hear this. God does not operate on human timetables. He is not limited by time, by delays, by setbacks. The moment he declares that it is time, no force in the universe can stop what he is about to do in your life. You may feel like you are trapped behind doors that will never open. Maybe you have worked hard, given your best, remained faithful, yet nothing seems to change. But remember this. Just because the door is closed does not mean you are stuck. God is working behind the scenes. The right people, the right opportunities, the right connections are already lined up. And when the appointed time comes, what has been blocked will suddenly open. What seemed impossible will become possible. When God opens a door, there is no struggle. You will not have to force it. You will not have to manipulate it. You will not have to convince people to believe in you. When it is your time, everything will fall into place. The favor of God will go before you. People who once ignored you will suddenly take notice. Opportunities that seemed unavailable will come knocking. Resources that were unavailable will find their way into your hands. That is the power of the doorkeeper at work. Stop worrying about who is against you. Stop stressing over what was denied. Stop allowing fear to convince you that you are out of options. You are never out of options when you serve the God who holds the keys. If he has not opened the door yet, then it is because he is strengthening your faith, building your character, refining your purpose. And when he is ready, nothing will stand in his way. Doors that were locked for years will swing wide open. Opportunities that seemed impossible will suddenly appear. Healing, restoration, breakthroughs will come in ways you never expected. You will look back and realize that God was in control the entire time, orchestrating everything perfectly. So do not let fear hold you back. Do not let rejection shake your faith. Do not let obstacles make you doubt what God has promised. Stay faithful, keep believing, keep trusting, because when God, the doorkeeper, steps in, everything changes. What once was closed will open. What once was blocked will be made clear. And what once seemed impossible will become your reality. You do not need anyone's permission to walk into what God has for you. The only approval you need is the one he has already given. Your destiny is secure in his hands. Your purpose is unstoppable. The doors that he opens, no man can shut. Get ready, because the doorkeeper is about to move. And when he does, you will step into something greater than you ever imagined. My dear friend, now I will remind you of a story in the Bible. The disciples sat together in a locked room, fear gripping their hearts. The doors were bolted shut, sealed tight, ensuring no one could get in. Just days before, they had witnessed the brutal crucifixion of Jesus. They had seen the hatred, the persecution, the injustice. Now they were afraid that the same leaders who had arrested and killed Jesus would come for them next. They were hiding, uncertain of what would happen next, feeling trapped behind that closed door. It is easy to relate to the disciples in that moment. Life has a way of making us feel locked in. Maybe you have experienced a failure so painful that you shut yourself off, afraid to try again. Maybe rejection has made you retreat, convinced that nothing will change. Maybe the weight of disappointment has locked you behind the doors of doubt, fear, and insecurity. Like the disciples, you are sitting in a room of uncertainty, waiting for something to change, waiting for a door to open. But what happened next in that locked room changed everything. The Bible says that while the disciples were gathered, Jesus appeared to them. He did not knock. He did not ask to be let in. He did not need the door to open. He simply stepped into the room. This is what you need to understand. Closed doors do not stop God. Locked doors are not a limitation for the power of Jesus Christ. When he decides to step into your situation, no obstacle can stand in his way. The disciples thought they were alone, that the walls surrounding them would keep everything out. But Jesus walked right through, proving that nothing, not fear, not doubt, not even death itself, can stop him. Many times when we face a closed door, we assume that means God is not with us. We think that if something is difficult, if we do not see immediate progress, then maybe he has left us behind. But Jesus did not let a locked door stop him from reaching his disciples. He showed up right in the middle of their fear, right in the middle of their doubt. He did not wait for them to find a way out. He came straight to them. That is what he does for you. When you feel trapped, when the doors in your life seem locked shut, when it looks like there is no way forward, Jesus steps in. He does not need anyone's permission. He does not need conditions to be perfect. He does not need things to look possible. He is not waiting for someone to open the door. Maybe today you are behind a closed door in your own life. Maybe it is a door of rejection. You have tried over and over, but nothing is working. Maybe it is a door of fear. You want to step forward, but insecurity is holding you back. Maybe it is a door of pain. Something in your past hurt you so deeply that you have locked yourself away, unwilling to trust, afraid to hope again. But here is the good news. Just like he did for the disciples, Jesus can walk through whatever is keeping you trapped. He does not need an invitation. He does not need the door to be unlocked. He does not need you to figure it all out. He can step right into your situation, into your struggle, into your locked up places, and bring peace, breakthrough, and transformation. When Jesus appeared to his disciples, the first thing he said to them was, "Peace be with you." He did not rebuke them for being afraid. He did not criticize them for locking themselves away. He brought peace. Because when Jesus enters the room, fear has to leave, anxiety has to bow, doubt loses its grip. The presence of Jesus changes everything. Some of you have been waiting for a door to open before you believe things will get better. You think that if only the opportunity would come, if only the right person would help, if only circumstances would shift, then you could move forward. But Jesus did not wait for the disciples to open the door. He moved despite the locked door. That is the kind of power he has in your life. That is the kind of authority he carries over your situation. God does not need to work in the way you expect. He does not have to follow the path you imagined. He does not require a door to open when he can simply walk through it. That financial struggle you thought would never end, that rejection you believed defined your worth, that dream you assumed was over, God is not limited by any of it. He is not bound by what is blocking you. He is not concerned about the walls that seem to be in your way. He can step in right now exactly where you are and turn everything around. The enemy wants you to believe that your closed door is the end. That because you have not seen movement, because nothing has changed, because you feel stuck, that means you are defeated. But the locked door is not a problem for Jesus. He walked through it before and he will do it again. He is not intimidated by your circumstances. He is not worried about what seems impossible. What is locked to you is open to him. So do not sit in fear. Do not let discouragement keep you locked up. Do not believe the lie that just because the door has been closed for a long time, it will never open. When God is ready to move, nothing can stop him. When he steps into your situation, everything changes. Peace enters, breakthrough comes, strength is renewed. The impossible becomes possible. The disciples thought they were locked in, but Jesus showed them that the door had never been a limitation. They were never truly trapped, and neither are you. The presence of God in your life means that no door can keep you from what he has planned. No opposition can hold you back. No delay can stop his purpose. Get ready. What you thought was closed is about to open. What seemed impossible is about to shift. The door you have been waiting on is not the key. Jesus is. And when he shows up, nothing stays the same. There are moments in life when every door seems locked, every opportunity out of reach, and every path blocked. You have tried everything, prayed, worked hard, knocked on every possible door, but nothing has changed. The rejection letters keep coming. The breakthrough seems distant. The healing you believed for has not happened. You start to wonder if this is where the story ends. I want to reaffirm one thing to you, that God does not need an open door to move in your life. He does not need perfect conditions to bless you. He does not require permission from people, approval from institutions, or favorable circumstances. When he says it is time, nothing can stop him. When he moves, no locked door can keep him out. Think about the disciples after Jesus' crucifixion. They were terrified, hiding behind locked doors, believing that everything had fallen apart. They thought that sealing themselves in would protect them from harm. But then something incredible happened. Jesus did not knock. He did not wait for them to let him in. He simply walked through the locked door and appeared among them. He did not need a key. He did not need permission. The closed door could not stop him. This is what you need to understand. What is locked to you is not locked to God. What seems impossible to you is not impossible for him. The barriers that seem unbreakable are no match for his power. You may feel stuck, like there is no way forward, but God can step in at any moment and turn everything around. Some of you are facing closed doors right now. You have been working, believing, doing everything you can, but the promotion has not come. The business has not grown. The dream has not taken off. You keep facing one rejection after another, and the enemy is whispering that it is time to give up, that the door will never open, that maybe it was never meant to be. But let me remind you, your future is not in the hands of other people. Your destiny is not determined by circumstances. God is your doorkeeper. He does not need the company to approve you in order to bless you. He does not need the bank to approve the loan to provide for you. He does not need the medical report to say you will recover, to bring healing into your life. He is not waiting on anyone to open a door. He can walk through it. The disciples were afraid, thinking they were safe behind a locked door, but fear is never protection. Hiding is not safety. Some of you have locked yourselves behind emotional doors. You have shut yourself off from opportunities because of past failures. You have locked yourself behind walls of insecurity, convinced that you are not talented enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. You have let fear deadbolt the door to your destiny. But here is the good news. Jesus does not need you to open the door before he moves in your life. He can walk right through your doubt, your fear, your past mistakes, and bring you into your purpose. Maybe you have been waiting for a door to open before you believe God will bless you. You think that when the right person gives you an opportunity, when the finances improve, when circumstances shift, then you will step into your destiny. But that is not how God works. He is not dependent on natural conditions. He is supernatural. When he decides it is time, the opportunity will come looking for you. The right people will find you. The resources you need will appear. He does not need to work within the limitations of human systems. He created the universe. Do you really think he needs a job offer, a signed contract, or an approval from someone in authority before he can bless you? No, when God moves, nothing can stop him. This is why you cannot give up just because the door has been closed for a long time. The enemy wants you to believe that if the door has not opened by now, it never will. That if the relationship did not work, you will always be alone. That if the business did not succeed, you were not meant to be successful. But do not believe that lie. God does not operate on human schedules. He does not follow man-made deadlines. Just because it has not happened yet does not mean it will not happen. Some of the greatest blessings come when you least expect them. When Jesus walked through that locked door, he did not just show up, he brought peace. The first words he spoke were, "Peace be with you." Because when God enters your situation, fear must leave, anxiety must bow, worry has to go. That means when he moves in your life, you will not only receive the breakthrough, but you will also receive the strength, confidence, and peace to walk in it. Some of you are so focused on what has not happened yet that you have let stress and worry take over. But God is saying, "Peace be with you. I have not forgotten you. I am still working behind the scenes. Your story is not over. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop thinking that everything has to be just right before God can bless you. He is not waiting for an open door. He can step into your situation at any time and bring the breakthrough. He can walk through whatever has been blocking you, whatever has been holding you back, whatever has seemed impossible. Do not let the locked door fool you. It is not a barrier for God. It is not a problem for Him. When He decides to move, nothing can hold Him back. You do not have to fight, struggle, or force things to happen. You simply have to trust, believe, and stay in faith. Right now, get ready. The doors you thought were closed forever are about to open. The opportunities you assumed were lost are about to come back around. The blessings you thought had passed you by are about to show up in your life. Not because of anything you did, not because of human approval, but because God is walking through the door. What seemed impossible is about to shift. What looked like a dead end is about to turn into a new beginning. What you thought was over is about to be resurrected. Because when God moves, when He decides it is time, nothing can stop Him. No locked door can keep Him out. No rejection can hold Him back. No circumstance can limit Him. Trust Him, stay faithful, keep believing, because God is about to step into your life in a way you never expected, and when He does, everything will change. Right now, beloved chosen ones, to illustrate everything I just said, I will mention another story from the Bible. The Israelites stood at the edge of the Red Sea, their hearts pounding with fear. Behind them, the sound of pounding hooves and chariots filled the air as Pharaoh's army closed in. In front of them was an impossible barrier, an expanse of water with no way through. They had nowhere to go, no escape, no options. It looked like the end. The enemy was closing in, and they were trapped. But what they could not see in that moment was that the very obstacle before them was about to become their greatest testimony. You may feel like the Israelites right now. The challenges you are facing seem overwhelming. Every path looks blocked. The enemy is pressing in, and fear is whispering that there is no way out. But let me remind you, what looks like a dead end to you is not a dead end to God. What seems impossible to you is not impossible for Him. God is not limited by obstacles. He is not held back by barriers. He is not dependent on circumstances. He does not need a visible way forward to make a way. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh's army coming, they panicked. They cried out in fear, convinced that they were about to be destroyed. They thought God had led them into a trap, that their journey had come to a devastating end. But Moses stood before them and declared a powerful truth. Do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Some of you need to hear that today. The battle is not yours to fight alone. The struggle that feels too big, the weight that seems too heavy, the door that looks permanently shut, God is about to move on your behalf. The enemy that has been chasing you, the fear that has been tormenting you, the situation that has seemed impossible, God is about to remove it from your life in a way that no one will be able to deny. God spoke to Moses and told him to stretch out his staff over the sea. And when Moses obeyed, something extraordinary happened. The waters began to part. A mighty wind blew, and suddenly there was a path where there had been none. The very thing that seemed like a dead end became their deliverance. What looked like their downfall became the way to their victory. Understand this. God did not remove the Red Sea. He did not make Pharaoh turn around and go home. He did not change the reality of the situation. What he did was make a way through it. Some of you have been praying for God to take away the problem, but instead, he is going to take you through it. He is not going to remove every obstacle, but he is going to open a way that no one saw coming. The Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. Imagine that. What had been a barrier just moments before was now a clear path to freedom. The very thing they thought would destroy them became the thing that carried them into their destiny. And when Pharaoh's army tried to follow, the waters crashed back down, swallowing them completely. The Israelites were not only delivered, they were completely set free from the enemy that had enslaved them for generations. This is what happens when God makes a way. He does not just bring you out, he cuts off what has been chasing you. He does not just open a door, he closes the ones that were never meant for you. He does not just bring you through, he makes sure that what tried to stop you will never threaten you again. Maybe you are in a situation right now where you see no way forward. Maybe you feel like the Israelites did, standing at the edge of the impossible with the enemy closing in behind you. You have prayed, you have believed, but the sea has not parted yet. Let me tell you this, just because you do not see a way does not mean that God has not already made one. Just because you cannot see the solution does not mean it is not already in motion. The Israelites did not see the path until the last moment. But God had already planned their deliverance long before they arrived. Some of you have been crying out, wondering if God will come through for you. You have been waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a shift, waiting for something to change. I want to encourage you today, stand firm. The God who parted the Red Sea is the same God who is working in your life right now. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. He has not led you this far just to leave you here. When the Israelites saw what God had done, they rejoiced, they worshiped. They realized that the God they served was not just a God of promises, but a God of power. The same God who brought them out of slavery did not let them die at the water's edge. And he will not let you perish in your situation either. If you are standing before your own Red Sea today, do not give up. Do not turn back. Do not let fear tell you that this is the end. It is not the end. It is a setup for your breakthrough. God is about to part the waters in your life. He is about to make a way where there was no way. What you thought would destroy you is about to be the very thing that leads you to victory. Trust him. Keep believing. Stand firm and watch as the Lord fights for you. Your Red Sea is not your defeat. It is your deliverance. And when the waters part, when the way is made clear, when the impossible becomes possible, you will know without a doubt it was God who brought you through. Your testimony is being written right now. Get ready, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. Beloved chosen ones, I am the truth that you must surely hold on to. When you see no way forward, God has already prepared one. You may not see it yet, you may not feel it yet, but that does not mean it is not there. Just as he parted the Red Sea for the Israelites, he can part the waters in your life. What seems impossible to you is effortless for him. He is not intimidated by obstacles. He is not limited by human solutions. When it looks like there is no door, he does not just open one. Some of you are in that very place right now. You are facing a Red Sea moment in your life. Maybe it is a financial crisis that seems too deep to cross. Maybe it is a relationship that has been broken beyond repair. Maybe it is a health battle that looks like there is no cure. Maybe you have been waiting for an opportunity, praying for an open door, but all you see is a wall in front of you. The enemy has convinced you that this is where it ends, that there is no way out, that you are trapped. But let me remind you, God is never out of options. The Israelites thought they were trapped, but God had already planned their deliverance. He did not send them back. He did not allow Pharaoh to destroy them. Instead, he did something beyond human understanding. He split the sea in two and made a way where there was no way. What had been a barrier suddenly became their breakthrough. The very thing that seemed to stand in their way became the path to their destiny. And he can do the same for you. God does not just open doors. He is the door. When you have him, you do not need to worry about what seems to be blocking you. You do not have to stress over who is against you. You do not have to fear delays, detours, or setbacks. If he has called you forward, nothing can keep you from moving ahead. The Red Sea did not stop God, and neither will the challenges you are facing. Too often, we limit God to what we can see. We measure our future by our present reality. We assume that if we do not see an opening, there must not be one. But faith is believing that God is working even when we do not see it. The Israelites did not see a way across that sea until the moment Moses stretched out his staff. But just because they did not see it, that did not mean it was not possible. Some of you are waiting for a sign before you believe. But God is saying, trust me first, and then you will see the way open. What if the Red Sea had never been an obstacle but a setup? What if the very thing you think is stopping you is actually positioning you for a greater testimony? What if the closed doors, the disappointments, the delays are not there to hold you back, but to show you the power of God in a way you have never experienced before? The Israelites were never meant to turn around, and neither are you. They were meant to go through the sea, and so are you. Maybe you are praying for God to take the problem away, but he wants to take you through it. Maybe you are asking him to remove the challenge, but he is about to part the waters. Maybe you are waiting for the perfect conditions, but he is saying, step forward and watch what I do. The Israelites had to step onto the dry ground in faith. They had to walk forward while the water stood like walls beside them. Their miracle required movement. Some of you are standing still, waiting for proof before you trust. But faith moves even when it does not make sense. God is the architect of your destiny. He knows exactly where to place the doors. When he created the universe, he did not leave anything to chance. The same God who designed every sunrise, every ocean, every mountain has already designed your path. The problem is not that there is no door. The problem is that you are looking for it in the wrong place. You are expecting a traditional solution, but God does not work within human logic. He does not need a door to appear before he moves. He can make a way where there is no way. The Israelites had no idea how they would escape, but God did. He was not panicked. He was not worried. He was not searching for a solution. He already had the answer before the problem even existed. And that is exactly how he is working in your life right now. He already has the plan. He already knows the way. He already sees the outcome. The key is trusting him before you see it. You may be standing before what looks like an impossible Red Sea today. You may be facing an enemy that seems too strong. But I want you to hear this. Your sea is about to part. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. The enemy that has been chasing you, the fear that has been tormenting you, the delay that has been discouraging you, it is about to be swallowed up. God is not just going to bring you through, he is going to make sure that what tried to destroy you will never threaten you again. This is not the end of your story. The Israelites thought it was over, but it was only the beginning. What looked like a trap was actually the greatest testimony of their lives, and that is what God is doing for you. Your problem is about to turn into your greatest miracle. Your closed door is about to become the very thing that launches you into your destiny. God does not just open doors, He is the door. If He has led you here, He will lead you through. Do not be afraid. Do not give up. Stand firm, trust Him, and watch as the waters part before you. Your Red Sea is not your defeat, it is your deliverance. Get ready, because your breakthrough is already in motion. Beloved chosen ones, you may have heard this story many times, but today I want to remind you of the biblical story of Peter. Peter sat in the darkest part of the prison, chained between two guards, surrounded by Roman soldiers. The iron gates were locked, the sentence had been declared, and there was no way out. King Herod had already put James to death, and Peter was next. It seemed as if the enemy had won, that the plans of God had been stopped, but what Herod did not realize was that no prison can keep God out. No chains can hold back His power, and no locked door can stop Him from fulfilling His purpose. While Peter was in prison, the church was praying. They had no weapons, no influence with the king, no way to storm the prison and set Peter free. But they had something more powerful than all of that. They had prayer. They called on the name of the Lord, and heaven responded. Because when God's people pray, chains begin to break, strongholds begin to crumble, and the impossible becomes possible. That night, as Peter lay asleep, an angel of the Lord suddenly appeared in his cell. A bright light filled the prison, but none of the guards woke up. The angel touched Peter's side and said, "Get up quickly." And as Peter moved, the chains that had been holding him fell off. The chains did not fall off first. Peter had to move. Some people are waiting for their chains to break before they step forward. But God is saying, move first and watch what happens. Breakthrough comes when you act in faith, when you trust God even before you see the way out. The angel told Peter to get dressed, put on his sandals, and follow him. It seems like a small detail, but it speaks volumes. God was not just freeing Peter from prison, He was preparing him for the next chapter. Some people are praying for God to bring them out of a difficult situation, but God is saying, get ready, because I am not just delivering you from something, I am leading you into something greater. Peter followed the angel past the first and second guards, and not one of them noticed him. The same soldiers who had been assigned to keep him locked in were suddenly blind to what God was doing. When God decides to move in your life, He will make you invisible to the enemy. When the time comes for you to step into your next season, nothing and no one will be able to stop it. Then Peter and the angel reached the final gate, the last obstacle standing between him and freedom. The Bible says the gate opened by itself. No one touched it. No one forced it open. It simply swung wide. When God declares your freedom, no force in the world can hold you back. No door can remain locked. No prison can keep you bound. Peter stepped into the street, and in that moment, the angel disappeared. The miracle had been completed. At first, Peter thought he was dreaming, but as he stood there in the cool night air, he realized that God had truly set him free. Now I know without a doubt that the Lord has rescued me, he said. Some people are in a prison right now. Maybe it is a prison of fear, keeping them from stepping forward. Maybe it is a prison of doubt, convincing them that nothing will ever change. Maybe it is a prison of addiction, struggle, or regret. They feel stuck, surrounded by walls, held back by chains they cannot break. But just like Peter, they are not staying in that prison. The enemy may have tried to lock them in, but he forgot something important. God holds the keys. No chain is strong enough to keep them bound. No wall is high enough to block God's plan. No locked door can keep them from stepping into what He has prepared. Just like Peter, They may not see how it will happen. They may not understand how the doors will open. But God does not need human solutions. He does not need perfect conditions. He does not need permission. When He moves, doors open by themselves. When He speaks, chains fall off. When He declares freedom, nothing can stop it. The church had been praying for Peter's release, but when he knocked on the door of Mary's house, they could not believe it was him. A servant girl named Rhoda answered, saw Peter, and in her shock ran to tell the others, leaving Peter standing outside. When she told them he was at the door, they said, "You are out of your mind." Even while they were praying for a miracle, they did not expect it to happen so quickly. Some people have been praying, believing, waiting for God to move, but when the answer comes knocking at the door, will they recognize it? Or will they be so focused on what has not happened yet that they miss what God is doing right in front of them? Peter's miraculous escape from prison is more than just a story from history. It is a powerful reminder that when God decides to set you free, nothing can hold you back. No prison walls, no chains, no locked doors, no guards, no enemy's plan can stop what God has ordained. When He moves, when He declares your deliverance, everything that was designed to keep you trapped loses its power. Some people today feel imprisoned, not behind physical bars, but behind circumstances that seem impossible to escape. Maybe it is a financial burden that keeps piling up, a toxic relationship that feels inescapable, an addiction that has held them captive for years, or a past failure that keeps them from stepping into their future. They feel stuck, unable to break free, and they start to believe the lie that this is just how life will always be. But the story of Peter's escape proves that nothing is too difficult for God. When He decides it is time for you to be released, no force in the world can stop it. Peter was under the tightest security. 16 soldiers had been assigned to guard him. He was chained between two of them, and beyond them there were even more guards at the prison gates. By all human reasoning, it was impossible for him to escape. There was no way out. But God does not operate by human reasoning. He is not limited by physical barriers. When He moves, the impossible becomes possible. That night, while Peter was sleeping, an angel appeared in his prison cell. Light filled the dark room, but none of the guards noticed. The angel struck Peter's side to wake him up and told him to get up quickly. The moment Peter moved, the chains that had bound him fell off. There is a powerful lesson in that moment. Peter had to move before the chains fell. Some people are waiting for their breakthrough to come before they take action. They are waiting for the perfect moment, for the situation to change, for the chains to fall off first. But God often asks us to take a step of faith before we see the miracle. He says, "Get up, trust me, and as you move forward, you will see the breakthrough happen." Peter did not argue with the angel. He did not hesitate. He got up and followed the angel, and as they walked past the guards, not one of them saw him. When God is leading you out, He will make sure that nothing and no one can stop you. He will blind the enemy. He will silence the opposition. He will make a way where there was no way. When Peter and the angel reached the final prison gate, something amazing happened. The gate opened by itself. No one had to force it open. No one had to break it down. It simply swung wide. This is what happens when God is the one opening doors. When He decides to bring you into freedom. You do not have to struggle. You do not have to fight. You do not have to convince people to help you. The right doors will open at the right time, and all you have to do is walk through them. Some people have been trying to force doors open in their own strength. They have been striving, pushing, exhausting themselves, trying to make things happen. But Peter's story teaches us that when it is God's timing, the doors will open on their own. You will not have to manipulate situations. You will not have to beg people to believe in you. You will not have to convince others to open opportunities for you. When God declares that it is time, the doors will swing wide, effortlessly. When Peter finally stepped outside, the angel disappeared. The miracle was complete. And it was only then that Peter realized what had just happened. He stood in the street, looking around, and said, "Now I know without a doubt that the Lord has rescued me." Some people will not fully understand what God is doing in their lives until they step into their freedom. Right now, they may be confused, wondering why things are happening the way they are. But when they look back, they will see that God's hand was guiding them the entire time. Meanwhile, while Peter was experiencing his miracle, the church was still praying for him. They were crying out to God for his deliverance, not knowing that their prayers had already been answered. When Peter arrived at Mary's house and knocked on the door, a young girl named Rhoda saw him and ran to tell the others. But instead of rejoicing, they thought she was out of her mind. They had been praying, but they had not expected the answer to come so quickly. And that is the case for many people today. They are praying for breakthroughs, asking God to move, but when the miracle shows up at their door, they do not recognize it. They are still expecting it to happen in a different way, still looking for the answer somewhere else, not realizing that God has already sent the solution. Do not make the same mistake. When you pray, expect God to answer. When you ask for a breakthrough, believe that it is on the way. When you knock, be ready for the door to open. The story of Peter's escape from prison is a testimony that nothing can hold you captive when God has declared your freedom. No force in this world is stronger than His power. No chain is unbreakable in His presence. No situation is beyond His ability to turn around. If you feel trapped right now, if you feel like there is no way out, if you feel like you have been praying and waiting but nothing has changed, do not lose hope. Your chains are about to fall. Your doors are about to open. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. God is not limited by your circumstances. He is not waiting on human permission to bless you. He does not need approval from others to set you free. When He says it is time, nothing and no one can stop Him. So stand in faith. Keep believing, keep praying. The same God who sent an angel to free Peter is the same God who is working in your life right now. And when He moves, you will step into your breakthrough and say, just like Peter did, "Now I know without a doubt that the Lord has rescued me." Get ready, your chains are about to break. Your prison doors are about to swing open, and when you walk into your freedom, you will see what Peter saw, that when God acts, the impossible becomes reality. To gain a deeper understanding of another aspect of yesterday's message, let's look at another story in the Bible, the story of Hannah. It is a story about deep longing, pain, and waiting. She desperately desired a child, but year after year she remained barren. It was not just a personal struggle, it was a public shame. In her time, a woman's ability to bear children was seen as a mark of blessing and favor. Without a child, she faced ridicule, whispers behind her back, and the pain of watching others receive what she had been praying for. But what Hannah did not understand in the beginning was that God had closed her womb for a reason. He was not punishing her, nor was He ignoring her prayers. He was not withholding blessings out of cruelty. He had a greater plan, a purpose so powerful that it required a divine delay. And some of you are in the same place right now. You have been praying, believing, waiting, yet the door remains closed, you do not understand why. You see others walking into their blessings, but yours has not come. You wonder if God has forgotten you. But hear this today. God never denies his children, but he does delay for a purpose. Hannah could have given up. She could have allowed bitterness to take root. She could have stopped praying, stopped believing, and accepted her circumstances. But instead, she made a choice that changed everything. She poured out her heart before the Lord. She did not hold back. She did not pretend she was okay. She went to the temple and laid her pain, her frustration, and her desperation before God. And in that moment, something powerful happened. Hannah did not just ask for a child, she made a vow. She told God, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you. He will serve you all the days of his life. This was not just another prayer, it was a shift in perspective. Hannah moved from God bless me to God use me. And that is when everything changed. Sometimes God closes doors because we are not yet ready for what he wants to give us. Sometimes he is waiting for our hearts to shift, for our perspective to align with his purpose. What if the very thing you are waiting for is being delayed because God is preparing something bigger than what you imagined? What if he is not just answering your prayer, but positioning you for something greater? Hannah's waiting was not wasted. God was not withholding a child. He was preparing a prophet. He was not just giving her a son. He was raising up Samuel, a leader who would anoint kings, who would change the course of Israel's history. What Hannah thought was a denial was actually a divine setup. Some of you need to hear this. God's no is not a rejection, it is a redirection. His delay is not denial, it is preparation. Just because the door is closed now does not mean it will stay closed forever. But when it opens, it will not just be another blessing, it will be a destiny-defining moment. After Hannah made her vow, the priest Eli saw her praying. He thought she was drunk because she was crying so intensely. But she told him, I am not drunk. I am pouring out my soul before the Lord. And Eli responded with a word of faith. Go in peace, and may God grant you what you have asked for. Hannah left the temple different. She was no longer in despair. The Bible says her face was no longer downcast. She had not yet received her miracle, but something had shifted in her spirit. She trusted that God had heard her. She believed that the door that had been shut for so long was about to open. And not long after that, Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son, Samuel. And just as she had promised, when he was old enough, she brought him back to the temple and dedicated him to the Lord. Imagine the emotions she must have felt. She had waited for this child for so long, had prayed, cried, endured years of pain, and now she was giving him back to God. But because she honored her vow, God did not just give her one child, he blessed her with many more. Some of you are holding on so tightly to your desires that you have not yet surrendered them to God. You want the blessing, but you have not yet said, Lord, use me. You are focused on what has not happened, but you have not yet asked, God, what is your purpose in this? When you shift from just seeking blessings to seeking purpose, everything changes. Maybe God has closed a door in your life. A job that did not work out, a relationship that fell apart, an opportunity that slipped away, and you are struggling to understand why. But what if that closed door is protecting you? What if it is leading you to something greater? What if it is not a punishment, but a preparation? Think about Joseph. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Every door seemed to be closing in his life, but those closed doors led him to the palace. What looked like setbacks were actually divine setups. Think about the Israelites at the Red Sea. They thought they were trapped, but God had already prepared a way through the water. The very thing that looked like an obstacle became their deliverance. And think about Peter in prison, locked up, chained, surrounded by guards. There was no way out. But in the middle of the night, God sent an angel, and the doors opened by themselves. God is the doorkeeper. When he closes a door, no one can open it. And when he opens a door, no one can shut it. Your responsibility is not to force the door open. It is to trust him in the waiting. Hannah's story is proof that waiting on God is never wasted. The years of pain, the silent prayers, the tears cried in the middle of the night, it all led to something greater than she could have imagined. And the same is true for you. Your waiting is not for nothing. Your prayers are not unheard. Your pain is not unnoticed. God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating something far greater than what you are asking for. When the time is right, the door will open. And when it does, you will realize that the waiting was worth it. So do not lose heart. Do not give up. Do not let disappointment make you bitter. If the door is closed right now, trust that there is a reason. If the answer has not come yet, trust that God's timing is perfect. He is not just preparing the blessing, he is preparing you for it. And when it comes, it will not just be an answer to prayer, it will be something that changes everything. The door that God opens will be bigger than you expected. The breakthrough he brings will be greater than you imagine. The testimony he is writing in your life will inspire others to keep believing. So keep praying, keep trusting, keep believing, because when God finally opens the door, it will not just be a moment of joy, it will be a moment of destiny. At the end of today's message, beloved chosen ones, right now you may feel like you are standing in front of a closed door. You have prayed, you have waited, you have believed, yet nothing seems to be changing. Every time you try to move forward, another obstacle appears. Every time you take a step of faith, it seems like you are met with resistance. You may be wondering, God, when will my breakthrough come? When will things shift in my favor? When will I see the answer to my prayer? But let me tell you this. The door is already preparing to open. What you cannot see with your natural eyes, God is already setting in motion the right opportunity, the right people, the right moment. It is all coming together. You may not see a way, but that does not mean there is not one. God has already gone ahead of you, and when the time is right, the door will not just open, it will swing wide. Do not be discouraged by the delays. Do not let the waiting make you doubt. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea with no way forward, but God had already planned their path before they even arrived. Peter was locked in a prison with no possible escape, but God had already set the miracle in motion before he even woke up. The disciples thought the door was locked, that their future had been sealed in fear. But Jesus walked right through their barriers and proved that nothing can stop him. This is what you need to remember. Just because you cannot see the door opening does not mean it is not happening. Me become the appointed possible will suddenly become. Maybe you have faced rejection after rejection. Maybe you have tried everything you know to do and nothing has worked. Maybe you feel stuck. like the opportunity has passed you by. But hear this: God does not work according to human schedules. He is not bound by deadlines. He is not limited by what people say or what circumstances look like. When He says it is time, no one can stop it. When He declares that the door will open, no opposition can hold it shut. When He speaks, what has been locked for years can open in an instant. That means you do not have to force it. You do not have to manipulate things. You do not have to struggle, worry, or strive. You simply have to trust. Trust that He is working. Trust that He has not forgotten you. Trust that your waiting is not wasted. Every moment you have spent believing, every prayer you have prayed, every step of faith you have taken, it has all been leading up to this. The door is about to open. The opportunity you have been waiting for is closer than you think. The breakthrough that once seemed impossible is already in motion. What you thought was a delay was actually divine preparation. What you saw as a setback was really God setting you up for something greater than you imagined. So what do while you wait? You prepare. You get ready for what is coming. When the angel told Peter to get up, Peter did not hesitate. He moved. He put on his sandals. He followed the angel. And as he walked, the doors opened before him. If he had stayed in the prison, waiting for more proof, waiting for every detail to make sense, he would have missed his miracle. The same is true for you. Do not wait until you see the breakthrough to start acting in faith. Do not wait until every question is answered before you trust God's timing. Start preparing now. Start believing now. Start moving forward now. Because when the door opens, you want to be ready to walk through it. There are things you can do right now to step into your next season. If you are waiting for a new opportunity, start developing your skills. If you are believing for restoration, start preparing your heart to receive it. If you are praying for a dream to come to pass, start taking the small steps now. Show God that you are ready, that you trust Him, that you believe the door is about to open. Some people will miss their moment because they gave up too soon. They let the waiting discourage them. They let the delay convince them that it was never going to happen. But you are not going to be one of those people. You are going to keep believing. You are going to stay in faith. You are going to stand firm because you know that when God is your doorkeeper, no one can shut what He has planned for you. So right now, shake off the doubt. Let go of the discouragement. Silence the voice that says it is too late, that nothing will change, that you have missed your chance. That is a lie. Your door is not closed forever. Your opportunity is not lost. Your best days are not behind you. They are right in front of you. God is about to open doors you never expected. He is about to make a way where there was no way. The prayers you thought had gone unanswered are about to be fulfilled. And when it happens, you will look back and say, I should have never doubted. I should have never given up. Because God was working all along. The door is preparing to open. Your breakthrough is on its way. Get ready, because what is coming is greater than anything you could have imagined. My beloved chosen one, take a moment to reflect on everything you have received today. This message is not just words. It is a divine awakening. It is a call to action, a confirmation of the power that resides within you. If something stirred deep in your spirit as you read these words, know that it is the voice of God, reminding you of who you are and what you have been called to do. You were never meant to live in fear. You were never meant to walk in doubt. You were never meant to accept anything less than the fullness of God's purpose for your life. The very fact that you are here, reading, listening, and engaging with this message is proof that the hand of God is on you. Nothing happens by accident in the kingdom. You have been set apart, chosen, and empowered to bring change not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. From the depths of my heart, I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Your presence here matters. Whether you have been walking in faith for years or are just beginning to understand your calling, know this: you are not alone. You are part of a family of believers, a community of faith that stands with you, prays for you, and believes in the mighty work that God is doing in your life. To those who have shared this message, to those who have taken part in it, to those who have paused to listen and reflect, I am deeply grateful. Your willingness to receive and act on this word is a testament to your hunger for God, and that hunger will not go unnoticed. The Bible says in Matthew 5:6, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." May the Lord fill you with wisdom, strength, and divine revelation as you continue to seek Him. My beloved, I pray blessings over your life right now. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He give you peace, prosperity, and divine protection. I pray that in the coming days you will experience supernatural breakthroughs, that doors you never expected will open wide before you. May you walk in God's favor, attracting the right opportunities and the right people for your purpose. I declare that fear will no longer hold you back. You will walk in boldness, clarity, and unwavering faith. Every stronghold that has tried to stop you is being broken right now. In the mighty name of Jesus, your past will not define you, your struggles will not bind you, and you are stepping into a season of power, acceleration, and divine fulfillment. I pray for your family, your health, your finances, and your dreams. May the Lord cover you with His abundance, His grace, and His guidance in every step you take. Know that you are deeply loved, chosen, and anointed for a great purpose. If this message has touched your heart and you feel led to support the mission of spreading God's word, I invite you to partner with us in gratitude and generosity. No gift is too small, and even the smallest act of giving can bring hope, transformation, and joy to someone's life. When you give, you are not just donating, you are sowing into the kingdom of God. You are helping to bring encouragement to those in need, equipping believers to walk in the power God has given them, and expanding the reach of His message to the ends of the earth. Luke 6:38 reminds us, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Your faithfulness in giving, praying, and sharing this message will not go unnoticed by God. May He multiply every seed you have sown and bless you in ways far beyond what you could ever imagine. Chosen one, this is your time. The world is waiting for you to rise. Heaven is watching, hell is trembling. The power of the living God dwells within you. No more playing small. No more delaying your purpose. No more waiting for the right time. The time is now. Activate the power within you and watch as God uses you to change the world. I love you. I am praying for you. And I cannot wait to see what God does in your life. Amen. Lord, I pray that today you would bless boldly in victory. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.